Hi everybody. GARBAUGUST is over. I'm so sad. For another year. Alright, so let's try to review what I did. I misplaced my paper. So first week was what was first week? I can't even remember. Anyway, I read Tender Wings of Desire. It was Romance for Men's Adventure. That's right. So I read the Tender Wings of Desire by Colonel Sanders. Despite that ridiculous cover, it actually wasn't that bad. And then second week was Vintage Smut or Paperbacks from Hell. So I went with the smut, and I read quite a lot of smut that week. I read Lead in the Future by Gardner Francis Fox. And then the second part of the week, I read Lucky, Tongue in Cheek, Stonehenge Slaves, which was awful. And then just as a counterpoint, I read Hung. And then third week was novelization. So I read Crossroads, the attributed to Britney Spears, but not actually Britney Spears. But it was the novelization of the movie about a girl who goes on a road trip with her friends and nothing much really actually happens. And then Coffee, Tea, or Murder. And y'all got to see way more of Angela Lansbury than I think you probably ever wanted to see. And the Nikki Heat book, Heat Wave, which I might actually read some more of those. It kind of lets me revisit the castle characters in book form. It was kind of a fun read and passes the time. And then this week was Anything Goes. So I didn't really finish the books that I wanted to finish. But I did read most of Paperback Crush. I think I've got the last couple chapters to go. Now, this is an interesting overview because these books really were considered pretty trashy in the day, but as girls, young girls, most of us read them. They were like candy. We just read and could never get enough of them. And I enjoyed reading this book because I went through it and I was like, hey, that's I remember that book. Oh, I read that book. Oh, I had that book. But the book that started it all, which is another one that I read for GARBAUGUST, actually way back in the first book, I just didn't get around to reviewing it at the time, was Double Love by Francine Pascal. Hopefully we can get that. And there we go. So that's the reissue. The original cover looked a little bit different, as I recall. And this one actually does tick off one of the bingo card squares, because there are something like 189 excuse me, something like 189 entries, books in the series. And they take the Wakefields all the way through high school, college, and then there's even another series later of them at 30, 10 years later or something. I don't know. Anyway. And then another book that is mentioned in Paperback Crush is the Beatrice Sparks, the controversy. I'll get back to this in a minute. I didn't get a chance to reread Go Ask Alice, but I read it years ago, obviously, and everybody knows that they were purported to be real journals, real diaries from real kids who messed up and, their lives were destroyed. But when I read this book, okay, that book Tongue in Cheek that I told you about, that belonged to my mother's boyfriend at the time, when I was a kid. He had a bunch of other novelty books, and they were like the novelty books that you buy in the mall, on the mall rack. There's like a rack, and it turns around, and there's all these silly books. But one of them was called, now I thought it was Jay's Journal, but it was Joel's Journal, or something like that, and Fact-Filled Fart Book. So when I got to Jay's Journal and there were no fart facts, I was a little disappointed. I'm just joking. But yes, I do remember a Joel's Journal and Fact-Filled Fart Book. And that's another thing that we don't read for GARBAUGUST is the silly mall book, the mall novelty books. There's a bingo square for you. But this book was really dull. I think I read it. I got through about a third of it. You can see there's my bookmark. And then I started thinking about, how we were talking about books written by celebrities and what really does make a person famous, what makes a person a celebrity. So I started thinking about YouTube celebrity. And are YouTube celebrities actually famous or celebrities? They're certainly well known, and some of them can make a decent living, at the whole YouTube thing. But the ones that tend to make the most money are the train wrecks. So I started thinking, hey, there's a train wreck who wrote a book. And for GARBAUGUST, check out this cover. This cover is just fantastic. Just awesome, awesomely trashy. Okay. Again, we got to do the thing where it white balances. Let's see if we can get that. The Stripper Diaries by Trisha Paytas. Let me see if I can get it to do its thing. White balance. There we go. There she is in all her lingerie-clad glory. This cover is something. I mean, it's like all the worst of the photorealistic without the actual, intervention of a graphic designer. It's just great. So the story is about Trisha Paytas. She claims that she transcribed it directly from her journals that she kept as a stripper between the ages of about 18 and 21. She worked in a strip club, and so it starts out, it's, it's fun, it's good money, people don't bother her very much, but then she starts to get more and more jaded, and the guys are getting grosser, and then she starts to turn to drugs, and, it has more of an air of authenticity to it than the Beatrice Sparks books, probably because Trisha Paytas, actually has done sex work. I imagine Beatrice Sparks was like a therapist or something. She probably never set foot in a strip club. But I still kind of call bullshit on it because it's supposed to be set in 2006, right? The date on it is 2006. But she writes about one guy as he calls himself Mr. Black, and it's Reservoir Dogs meets 50 Shades. But 50 Shades didn't come out till 2011. So maybe she forgot that on the rewrite. Give her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they are real, but if she wants to have that air of authenticity, nobody would have been writing about 50 Shades in 2007. I'm just pedantic that way. So, is it real? Is it not real? Only Trisha Paytas knows. And I think Trisha Paytas, like many YouTube train wrecks, probably lies about so many things she can't even remember what's real and what's not anymore. So, but anyway, it was not a bad read, considering, it's well enough written that the pages keep moving. And it's pretty quick. It's only like 70 pages. I bought it yesterday and I had it finished this morning. And that's even with going to sleep. And I actually read about 3/4 of it this morning. So it goes pretty quickly. So that would be my final, the wrap up, the cap of GARBAUGUST is The Stripper Diaries by Trisha Paytas, which I think embodies so much of the spirit of GARBAUGUST. It's a sleazy story written by a train wreck who's a Z-grade celebrity, and it's got a horrible cover, and I think it might even be self-published. So just the, what is it? Triple Crown. The Triple Crown of GARBAUGUST. And I think that's probably a great way to end this year's run. I didn't get a whole lot of the bingo squares, probably because I got a little frustrated with the bingo squares because I found myself downloading books just to try and tick off a bingo square. And I found that reading those books took time away from the books that I really wanted to read. So if I participate, or well, I'm sure I'm going to participate in GARBAUGUST next week. Next week. Every week's GARBAUGUST around here. This is a horror channel predominantly. But next year's GARBAUGUST, I'm not 100% sure I'll participate in the bingo card, just because it's very frustrating for me to, first of all, to read books just for the bingo card that I wouldn't read, which takes away time from what I want to read, and then to not actually finish the bingo card is just kind of rubs up against my nature to want to complete things. So there's a little bit of frustration there. Although I did have an idea for next year, but I don't think anybody's going to go for it. But we'll see. I'll put it on the table and see if anybody snaps it up. It should be fun. All right, so that's all for GARBAUGUST, and I really enjoyed this year. I think I'll read a little bit less Gardner Francis Fox next year, although that guy had so many books. He was an absolute treasure trove of garbage. I may seek out some more YouTube celebrities too. Hope you're reading lots of horror. I hope you had fun this GARBAUGUST, and will join us on the next, whatever the next reading challenge is going to be. I guess September, shorty September, but I've got a bunch of stuff I have to read. Well, I don't have to read it, but I want to read that I probably won't participate too much in shorty September. But I will be back, because October is always Halloween, and we love following around here. So hope you're reading lots of horror. Have a great day.